With the BMF title on the line at UFC 300, I thought it'd be a cool idea to see who would be the BMF of each division in the UFC. Now, I won't have Justin Gaethje or Max Holloway on this list, unfortunately, but they are honorable mentions. And again, this is my list. And let's run through some criteria here. First criteria is your fight style. I think your fight style is a big reason on being a BMF. 2, who are you fighting? Are you taking on hard opponents? Are you challenging yourself? And number 3, it's my bias, right? This is the lens through my perspective. So let's get started with flyweight. At flyweight, oh my God, dude. I couldn't really find a BMF for flyweight, so let's just go with Alexandre Pantoja. Pantoja is the flyweight champion right now, and he's just a bad dude. Like, his fight style's mean. His grappling, not so much, but he is 5-0 against the top 2 guys in the division, and, you know, for the most part, he puts on wars for people, and I like Alexandre Pantoja for that. Although sometimes in his fights he's a little boring, and he's not fighting consistently. I mean, who really is in the flyweight division? Another pick I had for this was probably Brandon Moreno, but after that last fight, I just don't think he has that same killer instinct in him that he did before. So I'm just going to go Pantoja, because I do think he'll probably have 1 or 2 more title defenses before he ultimately loses the flyweight. And he'll be exciting in those matchups. So yeah, I'm just going to go Pantoja for flyweight. For bantamweight, I know, it's Corey Sandhagen. I'm a little biased on this one, but hear me out. Corey Sandhagen not only is tough as hell in the octagon, this guy will fight literally anyone. You tune into a Corey Sandhagen interview, this guy's not afraid to fight anyone. It is the most logjam division. It is probably the best division in the UFC, and I think Corey Sandhagen probably is the BMF. I mean, his last fight was against Rob Font, but he was scheduled to fight Umar Nurmagomedov, and he was ranked outside of the top 10. And Corey Sandhagen was 1 fight away from a title shot. I mean, this guy is willing to put his ranking on the line every single time he goes out there and fights. His fight style is bad as fuck. And yeah, he's just a bad motherfucker. And I know I'm biased in that pick because he is my favorite fighter in the UFC, but he is the BMF of the bantamweight division. At featherweight, I have Alexander Volkanovski, the former champion who just lost his belt a couple of weeks ago. This guy's a bad motherfucker. Let's be real here. Alexander Volkanovski is a definition of a BMF. This guy will fight anytime, anywhere, against anyone. So it's like, this guy flew in to fight Islam Makhachev on 10 days' notice. Up a weight class. I mean, this guy's nuts. Fought Max Holloway 3 times. Fought Jose Aldo, Chad Mendez. Some guys are some of the scariest guys in the featherweight division. And he's beaten all of them. And he just, he doesn't pull out of fights either, which is another thing about Volkanovski, which makes him a BMF. Injuries don't concern this guy. And although ultimately at the end of his career, that may be the downfall of where he is at right now, really fun fighter. And he's a fighter's fighter. I mean, everyone loves Volkanovski from what I've seen. He's got a lot of fans because he's just a BMF, and then he is the BMF of the featherweight division. Max Holloway's a close second, but I just think it's Volkanovski pretty clearly. For lightweight, I got a little bit of a curveball here. I'm going to go Drew Dober. Drew Dober, in my opinion, is the BMF of the lightweight division for many reasons, and it's reasons for taking on tough opponents. I mean, Matt Frevola, Islam Makhachev, his fight style, automatically, he fights like a damn warrior in a medieval Spartan, because he just puts his body on the line and just slugs and throws haymakers, and he's fun to watch. Not to add that he doesn't also fight some of the scariest guys in the lightweight division every single time. I mean, this guy fought Islam Makhachev, this guy fought Matt Frevola, this guy fought Terrence McKinney, who, you know, although he is unranked, he's a scary fighter to fight, and he knocked out Terrence McKinney. So his fight style is crazy. He's taking on tough opponents. And anytime, anywhere, he'll fight. This guy's a true definition of a BMF. And I love Drew Dober for that. I mean, this guy, at the end of his career, although he'll never become a champion, he is a fan favorite. A lot of people do like Drew Dober because it's fucking Drew Dober. I mean, this guy's just a stud, willing to go out and fight anyone. So For lightweight, I have Drew Dober. At welterweight, I have the uncrowned BMF himself, yes, Kevin Holland. I mean, this couldn't be a BMF list without Kevin Holland. This guy will literally fight anyone at any time, in any place. And it's just crazy because he's always throwing his name into the mix on like a week's notice, 2 days notice. I mean, this guy is nuts. And I love that from fighters when they're willing to come in there and step up on short notice to save cards or to save fights on cards. And he has done it multiple times. And that's the reason why I love Kevin Holland. He's just taken on the baddest dudes at the welterweight division and middleweight division because he also has spent time in the middleweight division, but now he's kind of solidified in the welterweight division. This guy's taken tough competition every single time. I mean, his UFC debut was on short notice, and he took that and looked good in that. So, Kevin Holland, just a true BMF. I want to see him fight for an actual BMF title one day. I don't know who it'd be against, but that guy deserves to be in a BMF title fight. This guy's done so much, saved so many cards, done so many great things in the sport that somehow we got to repay him for that. At middleweight, yes, I have Jared Cannonier, all right? Deal with it, okay? Because I'm putting him on the fucking list for a reason. Jared Cannonier, this guy is a BMF in his entire MMA story. Let's start at the beginning of his UFC career. He was a heavyweight, right? So he went from heavyweight to middleweight, and he is still fighting in the top 5 in the middleweight division at almost 40 years old. That is pretty crazy. Jared Cannonier, I mean, see what he did to Marvin Vettori. He completely dog-walked Marvin Vettori. This guy's a bad dude. And I love to see the heavyweight transition down to middleweight because we always talk about how some of these chubbier, fatter, heavier weights need to cut down to middleweight. This guy actually did it and found a lot of success in the UFC, fought for a title. And he's just a BMF. He's willing to fight anyone. Although, you know, he pulled out against Roman Dolidze, he tore his MCL. And this guy will probably be fighting another guy in the top 5 here pretty soon. And if he wins, he probably will get a title shot again. Like, it's not unimaginable to see Jared Cannonier again in a title fight because this guy is willing to risk his ranking, fight the toughest guys in the division. Just a true BMF, and Jared Cannonier is the BMF of the middleweight division. For light heavyweight, I have Khalil Roundtree, and another curveball here, but just look at the fucking guy. That guy's scary as shit. He's scary. I would not ever, in my right mind, want to fight Khalil Roundtree ever. And this guy, I think it's more just the fight style himself, and, you know, the way he fights is just so violent and so brutal that he's just a bad motherfucker. Like, bad motherfucker doesn't mean the UFC and me and everyone else has different opinion on a BMF. I kind of have multiple reasons and multiple descriptions to be a BMF. But you look at Khalil Roundtree and you're like, yeah, that guy's scary. That guy's definitely a bad motherfucker. So I had to put Khalil Roundtree in here. Guy's just a tank. He's not that tall for the light heavyweight division, but he's stocky, powerful, explosive. This guy, look what he did to Anthony Smith. Poor Anthony Smith. Looked like an alien after that fight. Just got mopped up by Khalil Roundtree because the guy has just thudding low kicks. I could just feel the low kick right now hitting my calf and probably tearing my ACL along with it. But Khalil Roundtree, he's entertaining. I'm not too sure if he's like always calling out opponents. I don't really see that from him. So that may be a little ding on him. You could put other guys. Jamal Hill, you could put him in the BMF. This guy, you know, he took a title fight on short notice. He's a bad motherfucker. His fight style is kind of the same as Khalil Roundtree, but just, I had to put Khalil Roundtree because he's just a scary dude, and he's just so violent. So violent. So yeah, Khalil Roundtree for the light heavyweight division. For the heavyweight division, I have my boy Tommy Aspinall, baby! Come on! Yeah, I got Tom Aspinall at the heavyweight division. I fucking love Tom Aspinall, dude. This guy's a badass. That guy had a back injury going into UFC 295 against probably one of the scariest guys in the heavyweight division, Sergey Pavlovich. Fucking starched his ass in a minute. This guy has one of the most entertaining fight styles, and he's one of my favorite fighters in the UFC, and he's willing to put his ranking, you know, he's always fighting better competition. than some of these other heavyweights, and he's willing to call out people. Like, he really wants to fight John Jones, and he thinks he can really beat John Jones. And I think he's got a really good chance to beat John Jones. But nonetheless, this guy is so good, and it's such an entertaining fight style, and he just makes these big, blocky heavyweights look like absolutely nothing. Starches them in a minute. I mean, the guy has the shortest average fight time in the UFC. He took that short notice fight against Sergey Pavlovich on like 2 weeks notice, 1.5 weeks notice. I mean, it wasn't that long. And look what he did. And this guy, I love Tom Aspinall. Yeah, some of these are biased. I mean, it's my BMF list. Of course there are. But no one's as bad as Tom Aspinall. No one wants it as bad as Tom Aspinall. That guy's hungry. He wants it more than everyone else, and I think he's the BMF of the heavyweight division. If you like this video, please like and subscribe and comment down some video ideas I should do down below. This is a fun list to make. The BMF belt's on the line. We're about a month away from that fight, and I'm concerned for Holloway. I hope he wins, but you know, Gaethje just ruins everyone's favorite fighters. I mean, look what he did to Tony Ferguson, for Christ's sakes. That's one of the saddest moments, I think, in the UFC, is just seeing Tony Ferguson getting beat up by Gaethje. But anyways, I was getting a little sidetracked there. Yeah, I keep doing this to myself. Peace.